In the heart of a village where the red earth met the endless sky, lived Mama Nzinga, a woman whose prayers were whispered to have the strength to shift mountains. Her weathered hands, marked by decades of working the soil and counting prayer beads, held within them the power of generations. Each morning, as the sun painted the horizon in strokes of gold and purple, her voice would rise with the morning birds, carrying ancient words that bridged heaven and earth. The villagers said that even the baobab trees would lean in to catch her whispers. In her compound, where the walls were adorned with patterns passed down through centuries, Mama Nzinga taught her children and grandchildren the sacred rhythm of prayer. Prayer, she would say, her eyes twinkling like stars in the evening sky, is the breath of our ancestors dancing with our own. She showed them how to blend the old ways, the burning of sage, the pouring of libations, with the newer Christian prayers she had embraced, creating a tapestry of faith as colourful as her finest kente cloth. But then came the season of shadows, when the Hamatan winds brought more than just dust. Young Zara, Mama Nzinga's youngest grandchild, fell ill with a fever that burned hotter than the midday sun. Her father, a proud man who had always provided for his family through his work in the copper mines, received news that cut deeper than any mining tool. He had lost his position. The whispers began, slithering through the village like snakes in tall grass. A curse, they said, their voices barely above a whisper, has found its way to Mama Nzinga's compound. Yet it was in this darkness that the true power of their prayers began to shine. Word of the family's trials spread through the village like ripples in a still pond after a stone's throw. One by one they came, the grandmothers with their wisdom wrapped in proverbs, the aunties carrying pots of healing soups, and the children with their unquestioning faith. Under the ancient mango tree, where generations had gathered before them, they formed a circle of hope. For 7 days and 7 nights, their prayers rose like smoke from a sacred fire. The air vibrated with voices that carried stories of answered prayers from times past, of rains that came during drought, of children who survived impossible odds, of love that conquered unspeakable hardship. As they prayed, the elders shared tales of their own ancestors, of prayers that had parted rivers of sorrow and built bridges of hope. Remember, Mama Nzinga would say, her voice strong despite her years, our prayers are like the threads of a spider's web, invisible to many, but strong enough to hold the weight of our dreams. The harmony of their ancient songs and modern prayers created a symphony that seemed to touch the very heart of heaven. In that circle, under the watching eyes of the stars and the protective shade of the mango tree, something magical began to take shape. A reminder that faith, like the mighty Niger River, could carve its path through any mountain of doubt. As the 7th dawn approached, miracles began to unfold, like delicate hibiscus flowers opening to the morning sun. First came the spiderwebs, gleaming with dewdrops that caught the early light like diamonds scattered by spirits. The old ones nodded knowingly, for in their wisdom they recognized these webs as the first whispers of answered prayers, the way their ancestors had taught them to read nature's signs. Then, as if guided by an unseen hand, a stranger appeared at their compound gate one dusty afternoon. His clothes were travel-worn, but his eyes sparkled with purpose. He was a businessman from the city, who had heard tales of the father's skill with machines. "In my new factory," he said, his voice carrying the promise of tomorrow, "we need a man who knows the soul of metal as well as its skin." The offer he made was like a river in the rainy season, abundant and life-giving, more than what the copper mines had ever provided. But the greatest wonder came through Mama Yeye, the village's traditional healer, who had been visited by the ancestors in her dreams. She arrived at dawn, her wrapper swishing against the earth like whispered secrets, carrying leaves that had been blessed by both moonlight and prayer. "The spirits showed me," she said, grinding the leaves into a paste that smelled of earth and hope, "that Zara's healing lies in what grows beneath the old baobab tree." Her practiced hands worked with ancient knowledge, mixing herbs that had healed their people for generations. The birds returned next. First the little sunbirds, their feathers flashing like jewels, then the wise-eyed eagles circling overhead. The elders smiled, for they knew that birds always return to blessed places. They were the messengers of good fortune, their songs carrying prayers higher than human voices could reach.